And this is why I love to sit in the porch with the door open. I've got a little footstool thing going on here. I've got to say, of all the little investments I've ever made into my home, a good old comfy chair is, well, I could say something else, you know, but is spiffing, is just wonderful, yeah. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Do you know, it's actually quite mesmerising just sitting here because I'm listening to the trees. I'm listening to the little wind chime, which is hanging on one of the trees outside the porch. I think just on the right. I've got my laptop here, so I'm going to do another book reading. Walking Between Worlds, which is on Patreon at the moment. Could just sit here all day. But I have some visitors coming, so I've got to get up with my derriere and shuffle about and do some work. I've got to hoover the cottage. I borrowed my daughter's hoover because, honestly, the dust... At the moment, it's akin to a slut's hovel. So I'd better get on and do some work. Look at that lovely view up there. The trees, oh, the trees. I love the trees. Oh, don't know if I showed you that little door knocker. I got that at a boot fair a couple of weeks ago. Isn't it beautiful? I now understand why my grandmother up in Oma used to sit in the chair by the fire. I think she was glued into it. That's the wee bell to tell me if there's something or someone coming up the driveway. But invariably the birds set it off. Okay. Right. I'll get moving. It's a beautiful Monday. An absolutely gorgeous, beautiful Monday. So, what I thought I'd do, I'd take you for a walk down along the driveway and in through the lower woodland garden. Look at that sky. So yesterday I managed to get to the beach and I went to a beautiful spot called Moor. It is just a massive, massive beach. Now, I would have taken you with me, but I was with some of my grandchildren. And what did I do? Well, a couple of days before I went to the beach with my grandchildren, I managed to dig out a pop-up tent. And I brought the pop-up tent and the Kelly kettle and some food. And when I turned up there, set up the tent, got the little Kelly kettle on the go, brewed up some tea, and I must say, you know, all the stuff that kids normally bring to the beach, you know, like buckets and spades and whatever, they just weren't needed, because having this little base camp seemed to fill them with so much joy and excitement and confidence, and they were just running around and playing and chasing each other and going into the water, and I actually had the sense not to put the pop-up tent on the beach itself, but up on the sand dunes. And from the sand dunes, of course, you can see all the beach and you can see the water, so you can keep an eye on everything. It was fantastic. And it made me think of that old saying that I'm constantly, well, maybe not constantly, but I do talk about now and again. You know, nurture your inner child. Never forget what your inner child actually is. You know, all that lovely excitement that we have when we remember what it's like to be a child. You know? So important. So important to one's sense of happiness and marvel at the world, you know, because you never forget what it's like to be a child, and the things that are important are not man-made things. They're very much natural things, you know, natural elements and parts of the natural world, and imagining. Yes, imagining. Gosh. That's a real gift, isn't it, to be able to imagine and reimagine. Yeah, so it was a fantastic time, lovely day. Today, of course, is a day where you'd normally go to the beach because it's hot and it's still, well, fairly still. Trees are moving about a little bit up there. But of course, I've scheduled myself to do some painting along the front of the cottage, because you have to do that when the weather's fairly good. Anyway, I'm just going to take you for a walk around this little lower woodland. I know it's changed quite dramatically over the past couple of months only, 6 to 8 weeks. And there's the meadowsweet, look, growing so high now, and those flowers will be opening up and the scent will be delightful, be a lovely scent. Now my neighbour next door, I think, is mowing grass, so that's the sound you can hear in the background. Yeah, just over the other side of those trees, look over there. So we'll continue with our little walk just around this lower woodland. So this is a circular path, and oh, it's so lovely and cool here. The shade. You know, isn't it amazing just how much coolness we get from, look at this little mushroom. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, the coolness that we get from the shade of the trees. It's lovely. There's hardly any water in the little stream, you know, coming out of the spring well. But that doesn't seem to matter with all these trees and shrubs growing so prolifically, because of course the earth down here has managed to hold on to that water, that moisture. And look at all the new growth on this beautiful ilex, the holly. I know I keep pointing it out, but it is amazing. It's wonderful. And there's some beautiful flag iris. Look at this. The flag iris. and the reeds. So we'll just cross over the stream here. Gosh, I need to clear that down there. There's always work to be done. You can see how low the stream has gone. But this, of course, is almost midsummer. Almost midsummer. Isn't that amazing? Herb Robert. Ah, there's a bird. Must have been sitting there in the shade, just keeping cool. Okay, just crossing the little ditch now. And just wending our way up, back up towards the front of the cottage. Now I must take you up to the stone circle over the next day or two, because the oak tree, the red oak in the stone circle, has grown so high it's actually almost bent over double. So I may have to prune that. Imagine having to prune the oak tree because of how high it's grown. Just hear the gentle wind in the treetops. There we go, there's the cottage up there. And the fairy wood. Now, if it didn't take so long to upload these videos, I would do a complete walkthrough of the woodland gardens, but of course it would take probably 3/4 of an hour. This is already up to 10 minutes. And I've only covered a small area. But on this beautiful Monday morning, at the start of another lovely week, and I'm a bit out of breath because it is uphill, you know, I want to wish you all a joyous, happy, fulfilling and contented week ahead. And blessings to you all. And thank you if you support me on Patreon, or if you go over to my little Bealtaine Cottage bookshop and purchase a book or a map or a bumper sticker. But most of all, blessings to you all. Be kind to each other and have a wonderful week. And I may be back sooner than what you expect. Blessings. So this was Bealtaine Cottage at the very beginning in 2004. This was the lane leading up to the cottage, as you can see. And this was the view from the front door. Well, it's a different view now.